Ladies and gents, welcome back to the Random. It's your host, Smallwood Worldwide. We are back again with our TakeOff Sports Talk segment. As you can see, give some love to our Goodman brothers. We got T, Aj, G, and again, I'm Smallwood Worldwide. Unless you were under a rock, you know yesterday was the big game. That's the name of today's episode. It's the Super Bowl. You had the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the San Francisco 49ers, in which it was a slobber Guess what? Kansas City Chiefs came out on top 25-22 in overtime. It was an incredible game, but let's get to the big game hunting. We want to talk about the game between the Chiefs, the Niners, Kyle Shanahan going 0-3 here. Aj, kick us off here. What was your thoughts on the big game?
Well, first of all, I think that it wasn't an all-time classic Super Bowl, just to be clear. I know it went into overtime. I know it was close throughout, but honestly, the Niners were winning the game throughout the entirety of the game. The Chiefs actually never had the lead until they took the lead at the very end, which is so Patrick Mahomes. Peaches and gravy, Marie. Look, I think that the biggest thing is that Kyle Shanahan is 0-3 in Super Bowls in principle because he keeps playing Patrick Mahomes. That's pretty much his biggest problem is that he keeps playing Patrick Mahomes. I think that he's learned. I thought the 49ers, they should have, first of all, the first half, they should have been up like 20-3. Like they had 1,000 opportunities to put these dudes away, and they just couldn't do it. And Mahomes and them just hanging around, got the alligator blood, you know. And at the end of the day, when they really made it, the only faux pas I guess that they made was in the overtime actually receiving the ball, because then they couldn't dictate what they were doing. They basically said to Patrick Mahomes, "You have 4 downs to get 10 yards," and that is an impossible task for any defense at this point. That's the long and short of it is football Jordan did football Jordan, went football Jordan, and everybody saw it. There was no reason for them to win. They had less talent. Mahomes was getting bum rushed the whole game. It actually reminded me very much of the game that he lost to Tampa Bay. And I didn't even realize they were working under similar circumstances with some of the guards not being there and things of that nature. So he learned his lesson. He's only ever played, I don't know, maybe like a bad half in a playoff game. And he made 2 bad throws, like literally this game. And I was like, man, I didn't even know this dude made bad throws. So, but outside of that, I mean, they didn't have the talent to stick with this team, but they haven't had the talent now since they played Miami. So they were ready, waiting for the playoffs. That's it.
Nice. G, what you got for us?
Well, man, Kyle Shanahan is the Elgin Baylor of coaches. He is the most talented dude now winning. It's sad. I feel bad for him. The only way he's gonna win a ring is if Andy Reid retires and he starts coaching the Chiefs. Because I don't see the Chiefs losing anytime soon, barring health to their team. And it's simple. The 49ers had ample opportunity to take this game and win it. And I have to say it's 50% Patrick Mahomes victory and 50% the defensive victory. The defense did a great job, especially in the second half of that game. You know, so I mean, the only thing that was less shocking than how it ended to me was Usher's performance at halftime. Like those were 2 things that I knew that was going to be great.
Yeah,
Usher performing at halftime,
guaranteed,
and the Chiefs winning. It was a classic Mahomes game. You know, you come out, you look bad for a little bit. Well, he didn't really look too bad, but you come out, you get down by 10, you go in halftime. Andy Reid gets to talking about cheeseburgers and how bad he wants one. They come back out and be like, "We're gonna get Coach that burger," and they win.
He was wearing his white shoes. He was wearing his white shoes.
Yeah, he came out wearing his white shoes. Got loose. So, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he's someone that you can't bet against. He's a more athletic version of Tom Brady. This kid knows how to win. And I'm telling you right now, he's starting off faster than Tom Brady. And I thought it would be another 20, 30 years before we even had someone look like to begin the challenge, taking the GOAT title from Tom Brady. Turns out we were wrong on that. This GOAT conversation may be over within 5-10 years. If they go back and win a three-peat, that might as well be 2 rings.
No one's ever three-peated in
because no one's ever done it. So that might as well be 3 rings. And if he gets another 2 MVPs, which is very possible because he's only 28, I think we got to have a real discussion. I mean, at best, it's gonna be a LeBron James, Michael Jordan discussion in football. Everyone else is fighting for second, or actually fighting for third. Everyone else in football history will be fighting for third. Because number 1 and number 2, if Patrick Mahomes stays Patrick Mahoning, it's going to be solidified. He's got
Joe Webb with like a word.
Look, Joe can hang it up.
All right.
Facts. T, what you got for us?
Hey, I mean, those guys broke down the game great. I'm not really going to talk a whole lot about the game. I'll just say I got exactly what I wanted out of the Super Bowl. It wasn't a classic, like I said, but it was a nail biter at the end, right?
I beg to differ with that statement, but go ahead.
With which statement? It wasn't a nail biter, or was
no,
it?
there wasn't a classic.
The classic.
Well, I guess it depends on your definition of it. It wasn't like an offensive shootout.
It wasn't like the Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like that was a classic to me, but not that classic.
There was a lot more scoring. I mean, this was I guess classic from a defensive perspective. Both defenses played really well. And Kyle Shanahan, he's 0-3, but I thought he played a smart game this time. He just was up against Mahomes. I mean, what you gonna do, man? He like you guys said, he's Jordan. But yeah, I got exactly what I want out of it. I wanted Mahomes to win. I love to see greatness. I know there's a lot of fickle people out there. Fickle. Yeah. I'm sick and tired of seeing the cheat. Not me. I mean,
not at all.
You dominate. Go get out there and do your thing, man. Challenge Mr. Brady. Go for it. So he got his win, which I really, really wanted. Brock Purdy played well. So they can't crush him today. I wanted him to come out and show well. I really, I wanted everybody to come out and do a good job. Have a good game, which it was. Came down the wire, and I was so ecstatic when I saw them score that touchdown. And was it Hardman of all people? Started off on the Jets.
Hardman,
Super Bowl champion. How awesome!
He said, "Aaron Rodgers, you can't do this."
Yep. I think really the whole game, I might have seen one bonehead play. That was when dude caught the ball.
Ran backwards.
Yeah. He lost mad yards. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Yo, the joint showed up. TJ, he said 2nd and 14. I was like, 2nd and 14.
How you thinking? You get a 5-yard pass and turn it into negative or whatever. It's the strangest thing. And
he was playing Madden in his head.
I don't even know if you can count that as a completion.
He caught it 6 yards deep in, and then when that graphic said 2nd and 14, I was like, what's going on?
You're like, I know the pass was this way. Did the ref take that away too? What happened?
Maybe I shouldn't call it a bonehead play because maybe he was just fighting for yards, but
that was a bonehead play. He should have just got down.
He should have. I mean, it was a critical point in the game. He should have gone down, but I mean, I can appreciate he was trying to fight. But anyway, like I said, I got what I wanted. I was very happy with the result, of course, and I was happy with how everybody played. I mean, heartbreaking for Mr. Purdy, but I really didn't want to hear all the Mahomes hate and the elevation of somebody who's just not ready. He's not ready quite yet.
Yeah.
But he looked good. Looked good.
I mean, with 5 All-Pros around him, he looked real good, right? What does he look like if he had what Patrick Mahomes had around him? And I think for me, that's what made this game an absolute classic, right? So last year was a super duper classic for me. This year, I like defense. Defense wins championships. And so I joked about it being a slobber knocker because early on, the 49ers were just doing what the Detroit Lions did to them. Their O-line and D-line were destroying Kansas City. And I thought it was a brilliant game plan that they had Chase Young on one side, and they were lining up just outside the tackles. They had Bosa on the other side doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Armstead and whoever the other cat is inside. I mean, it was nasty. It was like, where does Mahomes go? He was getting sacked. He didn't have no time. and the 49ers were making plays. But the thing that I took stock of is the fact that no matter how bad it looked for them, they were only down 10-0. And it felt like, to your point earlier, 23-0, 23-3. That's what it felt like. You know, it felt like they were getting stomped. And then I had to realize, wait, they're still in the game. At some point, Patrick Mahomes looked at his watch, looked at his cape, he dusted it off, and he was like, you know what? We come back from halftime, it's showtime. And so it's like Patrick Mahomes, to me, I'm going to compare him to a UFC fighter, the GOAT, John Jones. The longer that the fight goes on, the more that John Jones learns about you, the worse it gets for you. The same thing with Patrick Mahomes. He gets very surgical on the field. And all the things that were working against him, he starts figuring out little things, like he takes off for a 5-yard run. He pump fakes like he's about to go for a run, and he like sidearms it to the other dude. He has Hardeman going to the inside now instead of the outside. It was like, and I mean, I don't want to give him all the credit. Clearly, he have coordinators and stuff, but he has to execute on the field. And he does it at such a high level that I think people forget how much greatness we're witnessing, because they were caught up in all the other shenanigans. They showing Taylor Swift and, oh my gosh, the 49ers and Brock Purdy. And I'm like,
he did what Lamar should have done.
He did. He took the game over.
Done. Yeah.
He took the game over. And the more that he was like, just started getting comfortable, I was like, 49ers are in trouble. Then it was like 49ers are going to lose. Because by that time, you know who woke up? Chris Jones started walking around doing this. When I seen him doing that, I was like, oh, it's a wrap. Next thing you know, Purdy is going down. Purdy's getting hit. Those passes start coming out real quick. Shout out to Kirk Cousins. So I looked at it like this. At the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes is inevitable. You know, he went in and it was his will getting the team to play at a higher level than the talent that they probably actually have. He has a couple guys. I think Hardeman is nice. There's a couple other ones maybe, but they're nowhere near the level of some of his peers like Burrow. He didn't have those kind of receivers. He didn't have a Diggs like Josh Allen. He doesn't have what Brock Purdy has on the other side. Because if he did, we might have been looking at a 55-10 game, right? So I just looked at it like this. At the end of the day, if this one guy is getting all of these guys galvanized and willing them to a win, one of our later topics, I think, is going to be inevitable that it happens, because they're going to get better. And this was their worst year. Most drop passes. They had the official who kept moving the ball back. So if you got 9 yards, he put it back to the 7-yard, and everybody was like,
that was crazy. That was crazy.
And I'm like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like,
bad spots, low snaps.
Yeah, the low snaps was killing me. I was like,
Center was trash.
The whole game.
The center was big trash.
He was sending out grounders all game. And on top of that, this is another mistake. This is the one mistake that I know that Shanahan made while coaching this game. After halftime, you did not see McCaffrey get the ball nearly as much as he should have.
Yeah, McCaffrey always needs to have the ball.
They should have. He should have been eating that clock. They should have ate that clock up every time they had the ball. Handed it to McCaffrey, short screens, all that stuff. But it seemed like the third quarter, I don't know how many touches McCaffrey got, but it wasn't nearly enough. If he had done that, they probably could have came out with this thing with a W.
Because Brock Purdy, I'm not going to say Shanahan as an NFL coach is playing into a narrative, Pete Carroll, but I'm going to say that he was 4 of 11 in passing when they should have been handed off to CMC, when they should have been handed off to Debo. I don't care if Debo has half a hamstring work. His half a hamstring is still dangerous, as he showed you in some of those explosive plays in the third and fourth quarter. He got close, but by that time, the defense was turned up. You saw the one play where I think it was number 22. He reached up and just batted it down with one hand. That was such a beautiful defensive play. Great play. It was stuff like that was like, yo, this is the heart of a champion. And I didn't realize that statistically they have the 2 best corners in the league this year. Yeah. The Chiefs do. So listen.
Like I said, they should have ate the clock up.
That was their best bet.
They wanted to win that game. They should have ate the clock up.
To be fair, the Chiefs were stuff in the run though in the second half too. Like they figured out.
I told you, Chris Jones, when he starts doing this, I don't care. It's like
the Lions would have beat the Chiefs. I just gotta say it. The Lions would have beat the Chiefs, dude.
Yeah,
they would have beat them.
Nobody would have beat them. It wasn't gonna happen.
But the Lions would have beat them.
I mean, the Lions didn't beat the 49ers, and they were up 20, whatever. But
I mean, that was God doing that, though. We all saw it. We saw angels in the outfield type catches getting lifted up.
But I'm gonna tell you the most riveting part of the game for me was in overtime, right? Patrick Mahomes, they were down there. And I remember I was telling my dad, I was like, yo, did they know they have timeouts? It's 9 seconds and count. They have a timeout left. Call a timeout. Mahomes knew what he was doing. Andy Reid talked about this play after the game. And their confidence level was that high. Like in that stratosphere, that confidence, they knew they were winning. And he ran the play so flawless. And you just saw the 49ers were flat-footed. There was no amount of pressure they got there. Because normally in a regular season, cats get run off the line, they throw it out of bounds or out the back of the end zone. No, Mahomes did his thing, faked it right there, Hardeman wide open. And it was one of those things my mouth was like, game over. Game over. So, yeah, what a game.
TJ was right there when we watched the game. I didn't look surprised at all by any of this. In fact, the entire game, I was simple saying, well, I know how this ends already. Get excited if they want to. I know what's about to happen.
Yeah. You called this whole thing, though, so there you go. You're there.
I knew once they scored, once they got that field goal before halftime, I was like, oh, they're going.
Oh, yeah. What do we, just real quick, what do we think about Kyle Shanahan going 0-3 in the big game as a head coach and a coordinator? I think 2 as a head coach, 1 as a coordinator.
Because he was part of that Falcons loss.
Yeah. Yeah.
You was part of that Falcons loss.
He was not handing off the ball again. And he said he learned his lesson, and last night was a chance to learn the lesson. He still didn't learn it. I'm trying to understand.
I thought that he actually coached better in this game than he's ever coached in the Super Bowl. And he just came up against I think he just came up against Patrick Mahomes, man. I think that he's just better than there's whatever scheme they had. Not to mention something that my man Greenlaw tore his Achilles running onto the field. So
I've never seen anything like that.
That was the saddest and funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. It
was funny until they said Achilles, and then I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, what just happened? I was like, this is ridiculous. And I wasn't laughing at the injury. I was laughing at how ridiculous. And so I was like, how does that happen?
Yo,
he was hyped to run on the field, and it's just like pop. And I was like, wait, what?
They might have lost the San Francisco 49ers the game, honestly, because Greenlaw is all pro. Like he's always
he's nasty.
And you can see it when he ran on the field when they showed the replay in slow motion. You saw his sock wiggle where it snapped. It snapped. He probably won't even be good for next year.
He's gonna miss a lot of time. I'll tell you that.
Let's get some ayahuasca. I mean,
well, yeah, you got to go talk to Aaron Rodgers. Because Aaron could have played this year if he wanted to.
I mean, he's just got to do his own research.
Yeah, he's got to do his own research. You're right. You're right.
He didn't research 4 plays into the year. His ass would be on the sideline. I'll tell you that. How's that for your research?
Aaron Rodgers got a master's in YouTube, from YouTube University.
Yeah, he's got a BS and BS. He's so full of shit.
If you order an Aaron Rodgers jersey, it come with a colostomy bag, yo.
Oh man!
but shout out to
Kyle. Here's the one thing that we can't take away from his poor record in the Super Bowl. Every single time that he's lost, it's not like he's up here losing to bums. He has lost to literally the 2 greatest quarterbacks that we've ever seen in football. Every time. So is he bad or is his luck bad? Like
he couldn't beat both of them by running the ball, but I mean, I don't know.
I don't remember him playing Warren Moon. I mean, how about that?
Fair enough.
That's my guy there.
I mean, but he's had some tough breaks.
Yeah.
As far as the competition that he's had to go against, he's had some really, really tough breaks.
Yeah.
So maybe Mahomes has an even more so down year. He'll win one then. Of course, he's got to be on an up year with the 49ers, and I don't know how many more times they can rear up and make this happen before people start getting traded and everything else.
They have a lot of people they're not going to be able to afford in the offseason, so that's going to be problematic unless some people take some extreme discounts. So They'll probably go down
That
from those.
happened.
That's why Purdy is so important, because the 49ers can pay a lot of other people because they don't have to pay him yet.
At least not
Yeah,
yet.
they got another year.
Yeah.
And I think Purdy has solidified himself this year as a top 10 quarterback in the league.
Maybe.
Can't put him any higher than that.
I'll put him outside the top 10 for now.
Yeah. I would say it's like 12.
Well, I'll say close to top 10.
He's a starting NFL quarterback for sure. And I think,
I
think he'd be decent on any team. He'd be decent on any team, but he's not like, you can't.
He's not a game. He's what Cam Newton said he was. He's a great game manager. And that's not a bad thing.
No.
I put him a cut above Dak and what's his name, Kirk Cousins. He's right in that same realm.
He's way past both of them. Okay, first of all,
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think he's right there with Jared Goff and the rest of those guys. He's a good, solid quarterback, but he's not going to do anything to wow you most of the time.
I think if Dak had the 49ers receivers, he probably would have gone.
They would have been sitting home, and the Cowboys would have went to the Super Bowl. That's what you want to say. That's what it is.
I don't think that's true, man. I think Dak just gets that because he plays for the Cowboys. Like, I literally think that's
what I think.
Why people say that.
You're not lying now. If Dak was playing with the Arizona Cardinals and putting up the same numbers, he'd be fine. But because he plays with that star on his helmet, he catches a lot more ridicule than he deserves.
That's what I'm saying. But people feed it. I'll digress. Go ahead, Antoine. I'm sorry.
No, I'm gonna just say this, right? With Dak, I think that when he became the starter, I had high hopes for him. Then they started going 13-3, 12-4. Now the regular season expanded, they win more games. But when it comes to the playoffs, he never plays at the same level. And I don't understand why. It's like infuriating watching him.
I disagree.
What game?
This is why. Dak Prescott, and this is why he is who he is in my eyes. Against teams that he is supposed to beat, he beats them.
He does.
If you got a team that's below them, they will beat them. But if you get a team that's even or better, they're not going to win, and that's why they'll never go to the Super Bowl.
But it's not just that they're not winning. The offense isn't putting up numbers. He got some guys on that offense too.
I think this year their defense is what let them down, because I've watched football for a long time. I've never seen a Cowboys defense look that bad.
What was the score against Jordan Love before they put up the garbage time touchdowns? Wasn't it like 30 something to like 10 or something? It
was bad, but it's like, their defense didn't do a thing. Like, I think
they were back. They were back.
I might as well have been playing out there. Backpedaling.
They were playing
get over top.
They were playing so bad. The Washington Commanders said, "You know what? That guy should be our head coach. 48-12. Let's do it." That's how bad they were on defense.
Like Commanders' behavior to me. I mean,
I know,
ridiculous.
They were immediately like, "Oh, put him on the list."
That's why I don't carry bricks for those losers. You know what I mean?
The running game, man. That's what happened to them.
They didn't.
They got rid of Zeke. And then they collared all the Zeke plays. It's like, what are you doing? What's the point of that?
I didn't think Pollard was as good as Zeke either.
Not at the Zeke plays.
That's such an accurate thing to say, TJ.
They gave him the Zeke package.
Yeah,
they gave him the Zeke. They gave him the Zeke pack. It worked out for
if
them.
they had Zeke, they probably would have gone further this year, I think. But
nah,
most stuff.
I think so.
Nope. They only beat teams that they're supposed to beat. If there's any real competition, they lose.
So
they get slaughtered.
They wouldn't have gotten trounced by the.
They got beat in every.
That's what they do
from jump.
That's what they do.
But I told people
they go to the playoffs. They get everyone's hopes up, and then they get mollywopped. That is their ammo.
There's no question.
And it is every year, and it has been that way since Danny White was there.
Yo, what happened?
Well, like,
what happened there?
I forgot about the couple of years with Troy Aikman, and they had Jimmy Johnson and all of them. But from that point on, it's been that way every year.
See, if Jerry
hopes up, and then they play against some real competition, and they lose.
Well, Romo did.
That sounds very much Cowboy-like, but Cowboys won in the Super Bowl, but the Chiefs and the 49ers were. Shout out to both teams for making it that far. Hard-fought game, giving us overtime, still having the ability to go out with new rules, by the way, because I did not know. that both teams get a chance to possess the ball no matter what kind of score happens. I was under the impression that if you score a touchdown, game is over. That was not true. So
no, they made that rule to try and stop Patrick Mahomes from going back to the Super Bowl because of what they did to the Bills that year.
Yeah, but they changed it.
He used the rule that they made against them to win the Super Bowl.
It was like, hey, you guys want to see something? Watch this.
Yeah.
But speaking of Mahomes, let's move on to our second topic, right? MVP Mahomes. Not one, not two, but three. Three-time Super Bowl MVP. 3 out of the last 4 Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes, is he unstoppable? I'm going to start with you, G.
Oh, yeah. At this point, he is. There's not really anything you can do because with a lot of these other quarterbacks, when you think of the great quarterbacks, he may be the first one that is a dual package threat to this level.
Yeah.
Now he can, unlike Tom Brady, he can actually move his legs and run when need be. That's something that Peyton Manning didn't have, or something Tom Brady didn't have. In fact, the only person I can say that I can remember being able to do both of these things at this level was probably Steve Young and John Elway. And he's like both of those guys upgraded.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's not much you can do to a guy that can outthink you, can make all the throws, and can make a good 15 to 20 yard scamper if you give him the chance. If you leave that hole there, and he's not that fast, I don't know how he's getting the yards that he's getting because he doesn't look like he's moving that fast.
He's not. He was running last night like he was pulling a truck.
Yeah,
I was like, oh.
But his ability to see the game, pick out the mistakes throughout the game in the first half, and then use those same holes that he sees in the first half to his advantage in the second half. There's not much you can do with that guy, unless you have to you can't even stick with what's working with him because he figures out what's working. So you would have to think ahead of him to figure out that he knows what you've done. You can't beat him.
He's Dr. Strange on a football field.
He's too smart and too athletic, and his arm is too good. So you can't beat him. The only way that you can beat Patrick Mahomes is if his team lets him down, like they did all season, dropping passes. And this is how good he is. I don't think this has ever happened before. And right. I wish I had someone who could actually research, because I should have researched it, but I just now thought of it. Is this the first time that a team has won the Super Bowl who in the regular season had the most drops? Because I don't even think there's ever been a team that's led the league in drops make it to the Super Bowl.
I think you're correct.
So if he's got all that going against him, somehow gets into the playoffs, and not even somehow, he had a bad season, Patrick Mahomes standards, 11-6, then goes through the playoffs and literally has made one mistake the entire time he played in the playoffs. He had one bad throw the entire playoffs. The last 2 playoffs he was in. I don't think you can beat this guy. The only way you beat him is if his team fails him. Period.
Yeah. I'm going to jump in here and be brief. Everything that you said plus 1,000, but I believe the biggest issue why he's not beatable is that he would have to beat himself. If he just did this with this receiving core, right? And I kept saying this all season long, like, and that's why I thought Baltimore would beat him too, is that these guys are all right, but, they're in the NFL. They're serviceable, but they're not like any stars. There's no true number one. You don't have a Diggs. You don't have any of these other guys out there. They're going to a CeeDee Lamb. He made those guys believe when the playoffs came, they started catching everything. Short, long, didn't matter. Super Bowl, they came out of the slump. And again, I don't know what he says to them on the sideline. I don't know what he's yelling in the huddle, but these guys play big for him. And those points didn't put themselves on the board. I just feel like Mahomes has at least 2 to 3 more MVPs in him. And I'm not just talking about the Super Bowl. I'm talking about like actual league MVPs as well. Like, isn't he like 29, 28, 29, something like that? He's young.
28.
Yeah. He's got at least, if he stays healthy, I'm looking at least another 8 to 10 years in the league. He's doing this lightweight. And to Greg's point, when he takes off running, the one thing I notice is defensive backs aren't in a rush to tackle him, because I've seen him run a few people over too. So he knows how to dish out punishment and not get hurt. So I don't know. MVP Mahomes is just, he's that guy. Unless he gets bored, I'm going to be honest. What is this, 5 or 6 straight AFC championships he's appeared in?
I think it's
6.
He's been in for 6 years.
And he's been there every year. Who's
It's the Chiefs annual game. It's every year they're gonna be there. They're hosting it every year.
Invitational.
I'm just sitting here now thinking about the offseason. I'm like, who can they sign?
Invitational. Yeah, you're right, TJ.
That's Nick. That's not mine. It's Nick Wright's. But yeah.
Oh, well, I should have known. Yeah, that is Nick. That sounds like some Nick Wright stuff.
It's insane. But T, go ahead and jump in there though. But I'm like, yeah, I'm with Greg. I don't see him being stopped no time soon. Health and
I'm with you guys. I'll try to be quick. I mean, the attributes that Mahomes has is just are what make him so unstoppable, in my opinion. I mean, the calm in the face of immense pressure, the adaptability, the confidence. I mean, that you were talking about his guys catching the playoffs. I think it's because he's able to instill that confidence in them because he's got it himself. His and of course, maybe most important, his never say die attitude. I mean, it doesn't matter what's going on that football field. The man doesn't stop fighting. I mean, he's an absolute monster out there. And because of that, because of those attributes, I think if someone can stop him, they're going to have to be a bad somebody, because it was someone that has that kind of package. It's just not true. No. Yes, pause.
Aj, what you got to take us home on this topic?
Oh, I'll be quick in terms of, because I mean Patrick Mahomes is pretty ridiculous. He's the only quarterback that I can think of, speaking of something that people look up, where they gave him all the money and it zapped their team as far as talent, didn't make a bit of difference. They had to let some people go. He was basically worth the investment that they gave, where they let other people go and they're able to have interchangeable parts, as long as he has his I guess his was it safe pin or what, I forgot what it is, I guess safe cushion or whatever, and Kelsey.
Yeah.
As long as Kelsey's able to run a 5-yard out, like, he's gonna be okay. You know what I mean? He'll be fine. And everybody else is kind of interchangeable. But I feel like the only thing that I think that they won't repeat next year, unless they get Bieniemy back as their offensive coordinator. I think that there's, like I said, I honestly do feel like the Lions could have beaten them, just because the Lions were pretty unstoppable in a weird sort of way. They were kind of unstoppable. The only way they lost was they stopped themselves, honestly. So that was strange. I think the Ravens, like I said, the last time we had a show, the Ravens have only honestly lost like 3 games in the last 2 years. Like when you really look at it. So that team is not to be messed with. But most of those are to the Chiefs. But if the Chiefs keep getting worse, I mean, how long do you expect them to hold out? I just don't see. I don't see the excellence of Mahomes going anywhere, and I think he's proven that. But I think that the excellence around him they need to continue to keep at least decent players around him if he's expecting to win more championships. If he has to go the Brady route where he takes a cut, then he might do that. But I don't see him doing that necessarily, and he shouldn't. But
here's the thing about that, though. This was probably the worst team that he's actually been on.
Yep.
Most of these guys are coming back. Do you think they're going to be as bad next year?
Well, yeah, because I mean, Darius Toney was way worse this year than he was last year. He was way worse.
I don't think so.
I don't think he's going to be a
come back
Chief
better.
this next year either. So
You never know.
Look, I'll make a prediction right now. Next year, the Chiefs get 14 wins.
No.
I'm actually going to agree with him, but I have to save it for the next topic here. But yeah, no better time than now, right? So will we witness a three-peat? The last time we've had a three-peat in any sport, hockey, basketball, anything, right, was Kobe and Shaq, 2000 to 2002. They went on that infamous 15-1 playoff run, right? That was their last three-peat of any sport. In the NFL, it's even harder because obviously 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense. Football requires a lot more health. Patrick Mahomes just did this, to G's point, with the worst possible roster on an offensive scheme. They might get Bieniemy back, who talked to them before the championship game against the Ravens. I don't know if he talked to them before the Super Bowl. They came out fired up. They balled out. Clearly, we saw elements of his scheme missing in the Super Bowl game because early on the offense looked a bit lost in the play calling. But I'm willing to bet not only they're going to win 14 games, I'm willing to bet they will be the first NFL team, I don't know if it's ever happened before, historical, to three-peat. The reason why I say that, you're going to have a bunch of wide receivers who are looking out there and they're going to say, you know what? If this guy went out there and did that, I actually make catches. I'm actually a master route runner. I'm actually a true number one. There's a lot of free agents that are out there. You also might get Stephon Diggs, who might go Kevin Durant. Remember, he's been looking at the other team go to the Super Bowl now for a few years, and he wants out. And they could
done with Josh.
Listen, he's done with Josh Allen. And he's like, listen, I'm going to Mahomes. Mahomes going to hit me right here the way I like it. And I honestly see, bam. I honestly see a world where he has two number ones. They're going to literally be unbeatable. If they're healthy, there's no way they're not three-peating. I'm going to toss it to you, T. What do you think about a potential of a three-peat?
I sure would love to see it. That's for sure. Yeah. I think that they have a good chance. And the reason why I say that is not only because of Mahomes, but because of the defense. Mm-hmm. So that defense is really young from what I understand. And they got a chance to play together all year. Their health was pretty good. They won a Super Bowl together, and I think that they're going to be better next year than they were this year. And throughout the course of the season, things happened. I mean, Burrow, he got hurt. He was out. Lamar, he made it through this year, but typically he gets a little banged up. Yeah. So these kind of things tend to happen throughout the course of a season. And Mahomes, for the most part, just about plays every game. Same with his main stars. So I think they've got a really good shot at getting a three-peat next year. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for it.
Not to mention there's added motivation there because Andy Reid is getting old.
Yeah.
He's gonna be looking to retire soon.
He's probably
they're gonna do everything they can to make sure Andy goes out of here, the number one coach ever. Not to mention Travis Kelce starting to get up there too.
Yes.
He's not gonna be around too much longer.
Was he mid-30s? Or is
he I think he's like 34 or something like that.
Yeah. So Travis Kelce ain't got too many years ahead of him. They're going to do all that they can to make sure that these guys go out as GOATs of their spots.
Yeah, but Kelce
there's extra motivation there. You got a young, strong, talented defense. You got possibly the greatest quarterback ever. And you've got a bunch of people that want rings that are going to be free agents. And I would not be surprised to see, what's the name from the Bills, Diggs, walk through those doors. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Tyreek trying to come back.
That would be something.
That's my point. Those are the
two in the pocket. Two was too strong in the pocket for that. It was that too well commanded offense.
He's a locker room guy.
He's a locker room guy. I mean, he's good with the press. I don't think that he's going to leave that.
Fair enough. All good points, sir.
Thank you.
All good points.
Thank you.
I'll take us home on this topic. Do you think a three-peat is possible at all?
Anything is possible, but I don't think that it's probable. I don't think that it's going to happen, honestly. It's not necessarily because of them falling off, but the AFC is a murderer's row of good teams. I mean, there are some teams like the Chargers where they hope they get to the NFL, you know.
I'm sorry. Do you realize that they went through the Buffalo Bills, right?
Mhm.
Number 2 seed. Baltimore Ravens, number 1 seed with a top defense in the league. They turn around and then splattered the 49ers, who also number 1 seed with the top defense.
Yeah.
And he did that with this roster.
Yeah, but I mean, every year is another year. You know what I mean? And that hope is a new hope. You know, within the football, I would say within the Super Bowl era, no one's ever three-peated. That's correct. I think that the Cleveland Browns, like when it was just the NFL, they won a couple of them when Jim Brown.
Yeah,
and
Otto Graham was quarterbacking.
Yeah, when Otto Graham was Otto Graham. Yeah, but it was quarterbacking. But
Yeah, because I think Otto Graham ran off 10 of those things.
They ran off like
he was getting them.
He ran off like 10 of them.
They ran off like 8 in like 10 years, something crazy.
He's the Bill Russell of football. He ran off a lot of them.
Wow.
And Jim Brown quit like right before the Super Bowl era began like that. So
yeah,
but there's a reason why no one's three-peated. I mean, there's been teams that have won 3 and 4 years, and that's even been that's considered like kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? I just said football, it's not as random as something like baseball, but it's random enough for me to believe that they're not going to do it. Like, I think that Bengals are too good. The Ravens are too good. You could throw the Dolphins in there, although I really wouldn't. And then that's just the people in the AFC. That's not counting for the Packers look promising coming up. You know, Detroit looks hungry as ever. That is, you know, the Eagles are probably going to bounce back, depending on what's going on as far as them being able to get free agents. You know, so you never know what can happen. Now, are they the odds-on favorite? I wouldn't even say that, but you know, you never count out Patrick Mahomes because he is football Jordan. But even with all that being said, the idea of them doing that 3 years in a row, people get the disease of me when they win that much. It's like, where's my commercial? Where's my State Farm commercial? You know, where's my Campbell Soup commercial? The disease of me has brought down bigger and better teams. So I don't see.
But it's going to turn into Any Given Sunday, right? It's going to be like LL.
I wouldn't say that it's going to turn into Any Given Sunday, but I just think that football is the teams like that aren't built to last. Now, if they restructure and reroute, then they might come back and win 2 more at a time, but to do it 3 times in a row, there's a reason it hasn't happened yet.
Those other guys on the team know that they don't deserve commercials, so they're not going to go out and try and get.
That's easy for you to say. That I don't think that they know that. I don't think they know that at all.
Unless their receivers are being sponsored by duck grease, there ain't no way that they're going to begin to think about showing up, being on some commercials. That's number one.
Duck grease.
And the guys that deserve commercials all have commercials. So I don't think the ego thing is going to be a problem on that team. They know who the leaders are.
I beg to differ.
And that's what it is. And number 2, they're going to three-peat.
I think it's going to happen.
They're going to three-peat, and then the year after they won't make it. They're not going to four-peat. They're going to three-peat.
I don't see it.
They're gonna go there, and they're gonna beat the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl.
Not a bad pick early. I mean, listen, Green Bay.
It's a terrible.
They lost that game more than they got beat.
Don't entertain this maniac shenanigans.
He said it's in the top again. Like, and here we are.
We're gonna beat Green Bay, and what does he think this is? 1964? Matriculate the ball down the field? Huh? Is that what he thinks this is? What he thinks this is?
No, what's gonna happen is there's gonna be a whole lot of injuries next year. Trust me. Green Bay gonna creep in there. Green Bay's gonna creep in there, and they're gonna have.
And the NFC's wide open too.
They're gonna have Lil Wayne run out on the field with them, and they're gonna lose.
I heard it's in New Orleans next year, the Super Bowl, and they might do the halftime show.
Yep, he can do whatever show he wants to. What he won't be is at a Super Bowl party. That's what he won't be, because they're gonna lose to the Chiefs.
Listen,
I don't see
it. Well, guess what? Next season we all get to tune in. That's the best part of this. Patrick Mahomes, is he unbeatable? I don't know. Maybe he's like Michael Jordan when he says, maybe it's my fault. Maybe he destroyed the game. Maybe he made you think this was easy. But guess what? 3 Super Bowls in 4 years never is. I have no doubt that he'll be using this as fuel for the fire to try to go for the three-peat. Let's see if it happens. Until next time, ladies and gents, Smallwood Worldwide, the Goodman brothers, T, Aj, Greg. We'll see you soon. Peace.